Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so Stitch the Seasons. I can't believe we have 3 Fridays left, and that's one whole year of stitching the seasons. So in last week's video, we finished the top, added the crocheted edge to the bottom of autumn, and my homework was to stitch the buttons on, and they are in position and I just love it. So I really feel like I'm closing in on the end of the project now. They're all connected, making this great wall piece. Oh, I just love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, feels like an epic journey we've been on, but let's have a look at my winter. So what's left to do is this huge flower and then put my piece of poetry on. So when I showed this in the last video, I had quite a few of you say, oh, please show us the ribbon work and how I did the petals. So that's what we're going to do today. But first, this 3-dimensional element, I'm going to move it because it's going to get in the way. So I'll just pop it there. Now, let's have a look at our flower. Let's see what colours we can use. Definitely need I might have to upend it. I definitely need, yes, those colours, but I'd like it thicker. Oh, there's a good one. Some of these I've picked up secondhand through Purveyor of Textiles. Others I've picked up in bundles at op shops. That's these types of ones where people have used them and wound them onto cards. That's a pretty good colour actually, like op shops. And then the rest of them come from Colour Stream, an Australian company that is just off of Brisbane on an island, Macleay Island, and the guys there dye all of their own threads and they're beautiful. It's the top end of town for quality of threads. These are from Lincraft. So. When you're practicing, they're not bad to sort of have in your stash to sort of practice a stitch. And sometimes there's just colours you need for a project. So unfortunately you have to put a bit of a toe into the cheaper threads or ribbons. My recommendation is just to keep the length of ribbon that you're working with the cheaper ones quite short, because the more they drag through your fabric, the more roughed up the edges get. And I really noticed that with the Lincraft ones. I'm not 100% sure what's in them, but my guess is very little silk. I'd say they're man-made fibres. Look at that one, that's unusual. Oh, it's, see the random ones you get from picking up bits and bobs around the place. That's not bad either. It's been a tricky colour, this piece of fabric for winter. It's, I don't know, it's that bluey sea green has been quite difficult to find threads for. And I thought I had a little bit of the colour palette in here, and I've tried not to dig too deep because, oh, random one. I knew I had this big flower to do, so if I was going to find any that suited this colour, I wanted to save it for this big one. So hence why I danced around with chocolates and browns here, because I just didn't want to use too much of my threads. Okay, let's have a go. Now we need a crewel needle with a nice big eye so that it handles the ribbon. So for this is for all the new kids on the block. Okay, I'm liking that because of its width. I'm liking that because of the colour. Like, I'm pretty pleased. I've even got a grey there. So let's just pop them up here so I can have a look at them. They're all pretty fine, and I like that as well, nice and wide. So we'll save those two for the petals this side, and we'll work in the back, which makes sense anyway, because when I look at a flower and where to start with stitching, whether it be ribbon or thread, I always imagine if you're plucking the petals off of a flower, say it's a rose, what petals would be last, meaning they're the furthest away from you. They're the petals that you embroider first. That's my rough rule of thumb when I feel like I'm floundering a little bit with what to do first. So in my mind, this area back here needs to be done first. And then when I look into this area, I've got a petal range here, and then there's 1, 2, 3 there. So this guy is even further away. And even, see in there, there's a little bit of colour needed too. So let's use some of these scrappy bits. This dark guy, I think it'd be a good start. Now I really could do with my little iron on to iron these. See how they get creased? If it's good quality silk, you can sort of use the warmth of your fingers to get them to flatten, but no, I'm going to say that's synthetic all the way. I might jump up and grab my iron because these are old. So they're going to be really crimpled, and it'll just give such a more beautiful effect to my piece. All right, I better grab the iron. Won't be a moment, guys. Okay, I'm back. I've just got my little craft iron next to me here. When I did the Jennifer Clouston classes when I was in Brisbane, the girls, they use a lot of ribbon embroidery. If you're familiar with Jennifer's work, the girls were using little hair straighteners, little ones. So when they go away, it's you know, a lightweight little option to pack in for a class. And I thought that was quite clever. But I just haven't got one because I've got a little iron and I just haven't been around to see those little guys. But I thought it was quite clever if you are on the hunt for something for your craft room. So I'm all ribboned up, ready to go. So now remember, this is not a tutorial. This is just me showing you what I do when it comes to thread painting with ribbon. I guess the biggest tip I can give you is try not to go back through your ribbon when it's on the other side of your fabric, because you're just creating a tension spot, because you're not only going through all of that fabric, like the knot was pretty close there. So just take your time. It's sort of, with normal embroidery using wool or you know, pearl cottons or stranded cottons, you can sort of just, once you work out where you're heading with it, you can bob along and achieve what you need to achieve. But with ribbon embroidery, just take your time, because it is delicate. If you pull things too hard, you get a more of a taut stitch where you might want to plump a stitch. I'm just using it at the moment to fill in the background there. There's no shape of a petal, it's just ribbon. There's just something there. So I'm going to do the same now in this zone. Now I'm just going to sneak up here and work my way across. This is one of the cheaper ribbons, and already it's starting to fold as it sort of goes through those fabrics. Like, you can certainly use them, but I guess if you're showing a piece in a show or a competition, you might want to use better quality ribbons. But for this, now I'm putting a little, I'm sort of got a fair way to travel there. I think I'm going to stop there. So I'm going to put a gap between each one. And that allows me to come back, with another colour if I'm wanting to. Probably not, because I don't have, I'm just going to touch that with the iron again. I turned the heat way down too. It needs to probably be even less, because I don't know what this ribbon is. So I've got to be a little bit careful that I don't melt it. So yeah, I'm scooting along a horizontal petal there, but leaving a little gap, because then that allows me to come back through with more stitches, either in another colour or the same colour, but it really helps keep the fluffiness and the direction of a petal. What else can I sort of say to help get that into your mind? Focus on one little area at a time and make sure your direction is right. Unless you're doing random, well then I guess it doesn't matter what direction you go in. So now I've finished moving across that zone. This little petal here I think's a different direction, that guy. So I would stitch him this way, because I feel like he's on the side of it, where that one is at the rear of it. So I'm just now going to work back through, and these last few stitches will lay in all of the gaps to give it a bit of a full rounded feel. Now I'm bringing the needle back through my ribbon, which is giving me a little detail at the end that helps this look like a little curled ribbon, petal. So I'm coming back through, and that little kink is helping that petal feel like it's a petal. Does that make sense? So that's pretty good. I don't have much ribbon left, so I'm going to end that off, because this side petal that I just spoke about, that guy, could be a different colour if I have a different colour. So that's the same as that, isn't it? But narrow. Okay, I'm going to put him to one side with him. So they're the same. They look like they're the same. I might use this guy. What's this fellow? Is he the same as that? Yeah, he is. So they're all from the same family. I could bring in the silver. No, we'll save the silver for when we're working through here. It'll give us that third colour. So technically we only have two colours in the... see, this one must be a bit better quality. It's not as creased. Okay, so thread it, stab it, that holds it. Just make sure that little bit is to the bottom so it slithers through your fabric nicely, and then find the end and stab it, come back up through as if you're doing a stitch. Didn't know that until Jennifer showed me. I would have been licking and twisting and trying to make a knot. So now I'm going to do this petal. So I guess we've got to decide what angle are we going to do him. I'd like to keep that feeling like it is a bit curved. So I'm going to go this way with my petal. And I'm going to come up and over that stitch that's there. So it feels like this petal is in front. Of all the flowers to embroider, I think a rose or a flower like a rose is the hardest. So if you've attempted thread painting for the first time and your first flower was a rose and you felt like you failed, don't beat yourself up, because it is a tricky one. If you were doing, say, a daisy or a flower that is more open with less depth to it, you would have succeeded pretty easily. That's just my thoughts. Roses, like, I love them, but sometimes I look at them and going, oh, I don't know if I want to have to concentrate that much on that piece. Now see this petal here? It's kicking up a little bit into that guy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sneak down into that white a little bit. But when I do that petal, I've got to remember to sneak back up into this petal here, and that'll really make your eye think that this guy's in front of that. Does that make sense? But if I forget, it doesn't matter. I think I will remember. So there we go. So what I might do now is these three here. They are a light, a medium, and a pale. So for me to stitch, I would need, once again, what's the furthest point and how do you want to lay your colours in? I think I'm going to do the pale first around that top edge. Then the thread that I've got on my needle will be the next one, and then I'll finish with the dark. So what I'm going to do is I might end it. I just don't want everything to get tangled. So I'm going to end this guy off. Could do with 3 cruel needles, couldn't I? I'm just going to give that another little line. I wonder if I've got another needle I could use. Yes, I do. He's a big one, but it'll get us out of trouble. So pale is what I was saying. Maybe I'll use the grey. That might be pretty. No. I've got this one as well, which I kept. Oh, hello. Here's my little stitches, my little threads. There's another one. I think that's the one I used there. I might use this guy. The reason I picked him is he's narrow. I don't really have a narrow one in the pale. I've only got that grey, and I think that grey will be pretty to highlight through here. So luckily I have this one. And the fact that it's hand dyed and transitions between a few colours is a bit of a bonus. All right. So once again, which is the petal that's the furthest away? And looking at the way the artist has drawn this, he's in front and him of this guy. So I'm going to start with this fellow. And I'll come up here. Oh, I might have to change my needle, guys. It's just a little bit too blunt. I really could do with... Where's Duck? Duck always has good needles. Where are you? Maybe Duck doesn't have good needles. Where's Duck's mates? Maybe it's time to get some more needles out. I seem to be a bit lacking cruel needles. Here we go. Let's grab a couple of these. Oh, not them. My spares. I bought those online. They are the tiniest, itty bittiest. Oh, they're like Reg's children. And I'm never ever going to use them. I'm going to bring out these two. Sometimes it just pays to have a few needles kicking around of the same, doesn't it? So that is a chenille needle number 22, if you're wondering. So let's thread this guy up. Nice eye, nice sharp point. Beautiful. That other one was more of a tapestry needle. It's working way too hard. Okay, so let's get cracking here. So bringing that up. So now we're creeping over the previous stitches. Now we want a bit of an angle. So once again, I'm going to leave a gap, skip along a little bit, put the next stitch in, skip along a little bit, creep down into the next colour a little bit as well. I'm going to go up onto that leaf a little bit. So the petal will be probably a bit higher than the artist intended, but there's probably petal in behind that leaf. I just can't remember because I did it weeks ago. But we want that leaf to look like it's in behind the flower. So now's our chance to build. And once again, leave a gap, changing my angle again. Going to sneak up into the previous. Nice sharp needle like this guy can pierce through the ribbon below. Now I might come, oops, I pulled, gentle, gentle girl. I pulled that too tight and I lost my softness. So I'm just going to take a moment to just manipulate it a little bit. You can see the difference when you pull tight. It's not crucial because I have got more to lay down, more stitches, so he will be lost in the background. But just take your time. I started speeding up a bit there and the result was I pulled my ribbon too tight. Now there's nothing stopping you if you've got a petal like this that's got 3 colours in it to bring another product in as in a wool. Like it can look really interesting if you leave the ribbon to the outer edge and then bring in some weaving and random stitches. You know, it can be very, very pretty. Which I might end up doing because this is going to munch up a lot of ribbon. And, you know, it's not the cheapest of materials to be embroidering with, especially densely like this. So that little piece is done. Just going to bring it back. Okay, now I'll stay focused just on this one petal. We'll go back to the lighter of the 2 greens, which is what we had over here. Pick him up again and exactly the same petal and working a bit of a scattered stitch here and there. So it's not as dense, because the darker green from lower on that petal is going to sneak up. Gosh, I really feel like I'm giving you a lesson here. Usually I just stitch away and yibby yabber and away we go. I'm going to try and get another little stitch here. I had quite a few ask me to, you know, take the time to show you the building of ribbon embroidery on this next row. So I thought, yeah, let's just concentrate properly on what we're doing and see if I can verbalise what's going through my head as I place these stitches. Just going to leave a little gap there because I want the darker one to sneak up. Might get one more. Needs to be next to his mate because there'll be no more stitches put in there. All right, now I'll finish that off. And this system of painting with the ribbon is exactly the same as what I would do with the threads. Just keep looking at that one little spot and go, well, what's next in the colour palette? Now I can go the darker. And I must say it is handy if you can pull together 3 colours that go from light to dark. You'll really be able to get a little bit of depth of colour and tone to something. Now we're getting deeper into the flower. Now the center of the flower, I will use wool or crewel ribbon, crewel thread, you know, something along those lines to stitch in there, but I'll save that because I need to get these petals down first. But I'd need to do it before I do this petal. So I'd get all of that internal stitching done. So I guess my train of thought here is I would now do this petal, that petal, then I can do the inside. And then I'd focus on this whole front of this flower would be my system. Now, if you think that your petals are starting to get muddy, as in they're all looking the same and it's one big mush of threads, consider changing your threads to a different fibre. That can help your eye see what you want the eye to see. So there's my petal. Another thing you can do is drop in an outline. See how the artist here has popped in a black little line? That's the artist saying, all right, that just looks like a big white blob. I'll just put in a hint of outline just so that you can see what I'm trying to see. Now, it's tricky when it's ribbon because you've got, you know, this, I guess, textile in there. What am I trying to say? When it's thread and you're laying dark threads over it, it's pretty easy. But I still think it can work because if you use, say, stranded cotton that is 6 threads, you could easily come back through and couch in there a little bit of detail, which I think I might try that now. Technically, you should stitch this and this. But what I can do is when I go to do the other sides, I'll make sure, let's assume that I've just stitched that on there. What I'll do is I'll take my time and I'll slither my needle in under where I need to make it look like this was on top. So yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use one strand of this to couch down that. So let me grab another needle. Now, I'm not sure if this will look good, but I'm going to take a punt that those little lines that the artist has put in might not be a bad idea for me to do because it's a pretty dense looking flower as in design. So let's grab now another crewel needle. That'll take 6 strands of cotton. This might be too thick. No, I want this flower to be really chunky. I'm not going to hold back on this guy. He's sort of the feature, isn't he? This is the same colour I used on the branches here. So I'll sort of drag that chocolate down into this guy. So let's have a look. We need to come up here and just give us a little bit there. I'm going to go back down. Yeah. And I'm going to come over here and do the same on this petal. I wouldn't do it on all petals, but I think on a couple, like the artist has just put little hints of it there. Now I'm going to come back with my thin one. I probably could end that off. I'm pretty confident that that's going to work. Let's just get rid of that guy. Now at the moment it looks very straight. See? So what I'm going to do with this guy, has he got a knot at the end? Yep. Is I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit so it, not much of a knot. I really am putting the horse before the cart here. So if you were stitching this, you do all your ribbon work and then come back and do these highlight chocolate tones. I'm going to put a little stitch over it. I would probably is take a photo of your flower before you start. That way if there's any detail you know you'd like to do, like these little highlight stitches, you know where they were, or at least gives you an idea of where you could. So putting a bit of a curve on that as I couch that down. Can you see how the other one's so straight and that one's curved? Now I'm going to scoot over here. This is so doing it in the wrong order, but I think I can make it work. And at the end of the day, this petal is behind these two. So if these two just creep over this line, it won't matter. It'll probably look even more natural, to be honest. So maybe it is the right order. There we go. So that's now stitched down. And I just got a little bit of a curve there, so it's helped that flower a lot. Okay, so let's finish this off. Now we might, how are we going for time? We've got time? Okay. So the next petal would be the same principle. Get a little bit of that cream in, then the light, then the dark. How are we going for time? I really want to work down here as well. 26 minutes. Now we got time. Let's do a little bit more here. Because there really isn't a lot to this piece. Because once we nut out little background guys that have got this turquoisey, sagey colour, and then we work out this, like we could even bring some beads into the front. Just grabbing my needle back. Gosh, I thought 3 crewel needles would be enough, but it would seem not. I do enjoy doing ribbon embroidery. I used to be so fearful of it, like literally, what, 18 months ago? I didn't venture down this rabbit hole, but it just helps your pieces. I'm going to attempt to make this look like it's meant to be there. It just helps your pieces come alive. I really, really enjoy it now as one of the elements to stitching with, you know, thread painting. There we go. So little guy's still visible. This is just going to tuck in under there, so it looks like that flower is behind that. I might speed up a little bit without making a mess of my work. That centre, that dark centre there, to me that looks like it needs at least 2 colours to get the depth. And I'm thinking along the lines that it's going to be pistol stitch, you know, with a straight stitch with the knot at the top. I think I'm just doing a general stitch here. I'm not trying to curl it or anything, just filling in the background. And this one can come up the side. There we go. Gets that long stitch in there. Okay, let's end that guy off. So Friday, end of the week again. My videos might be a bit patchy next week. My dad will be back with me to have a few little surgical procedures done on him. So nothing full on, not this time, just some tidy up. So I'm just not sure how long he'll be with me until the little procedures are done, and if I feel confident enough to let him free back to the farm. If they turn out to be bigger than I imagine, well then I might keep him for the week, and then I can have the stitches removed, or let him go and, you know, bring him back for stitches to be removed. We'll just sort of see how we go. And of course, if he's here, it's difficult to do videos because we sort of sit around and chat. And he's an early bird too, like me, so he's up way before me, and then when I get up we seem to just sit and chat and just hang out. So to do a video is just difficult. And then by the end of the day, when I could do it, I'm best in the morning. If I can get one more stitch there. The ribbon's getting a little bit, oh, that's got to go on top because that's in front. Okay. Gee, I haven't left myself much. When this happens and you've got just nothing to, you know, thread in, just leave your little thread for a moment and something might catch it anyway, or you can come back with cotton and just stitch it down. So I'm going to leave him for a minute because I have a feeling that I can come back with this little guy, and there's not much on there either, but we'll get a few little stitches. I might be able to pop that in there and catch him. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, we'll see how next week goes. You guys have been fantastic. You're just going with the flow. If I have a video, I have a video. If I don't have a video, I don't have a video. You seem to be surviving. It's funny how you get into a routine with your videos, and then when you need to change your routine of videos, you feel so much guilt. It's like, goodness sakes, why am I stressing about not producing? Isn't it silly, the expectations we put on ourselves? And it wasn't until all your beautiful messages that said, gee, girl, just take care of home base, you know? That was like, yeah, you know, you're right. You guys will survive. It's not like I'm a series on TV where there would be a riot if Game of Thrones episode didn't come out. Okay, now I can pick up this guy, it's the darker, and finish this petal. You can see how having the chocolate thread is going to help the eye see, otherwise it gets muddy. It can get really muddy, and changing your thread to, say, the yarn or crewel is a lovely way to tell the story. Okay, that's that little guy done. So we need more pale. See, when that big white guy comes over, I think that'll really help. Maybe we could do that because we are now to that edge. Let's have a go. It's isn't too creased, which makes me think this is really synthetic. When humans started to get tricky and made soft, silky fabrics that don't crush. I don't know. Yeah, see, it's spreading. When I look at it, I can actually give that a nudge with my nail and that would spread. So let's get this guy started. Once again, it's a big petal, and what is going to be seen last? It will be this top edge. So I might come down to there, and you can either go up and in, or we could go across. I think we're going to go up and just into there. There's a lot happening in behind here. This is where ribbon embroidery gets real difficult, when you've got to find your way through layers of it. Now there's a funny little lines there. I might have to recreate those myself. I've got some more of this fabric sitting somewhere in the cupboard, so I haven't taken a photo, which I told you guys to do, but haven't done myself. All right. Stay on the top side of that line. And just keep, see how it's splitting? It's very, very low quality. The colour stream wouldn't do that. See, the other thing too with these big zones, you could do ribbon on one, ribbon on another, and then weaving in here and weaving in there. That would look really cool. Might do something like that. Oh, it's starting to twist and muck around. It's pulling threads. This is definitely one that you wouldn't want big, long pieces of it, because the more it goes through that fabric, the more it's breaking down. I just need 2 more petals and then it can fall to bits. There we go, 2 more stitches. Now, technically, I should have done the inside bits before that stitch, but I can sneak a needle in there and make it look like that was done. Now I'm going to discard that because it is like about to split and looking a bit ugly. So my next stitches would be this guy. Oh, goodness sakes, thank goodness I'm on to colour stream. Like, I can't complain because a lot of these weird ones I got for like $6 and you got a bag of them from Purveyor or in an op shop. So, you know, I'm very grateful. But this one is beautiful. And I know Colour Stream, I spent some serious coin to get that container, but it has lasted me. Like, I think if you're going to invest in something, get the good stuff, get a little range of colours, and then see how you go. And I think you might be surprised how little, gosh, this is white, isn't it? Isn't it gorgeous? This is going to make a very bold finish to it. Look at you. What width is this? 4 mil. 13 mil. So this is 13 mil and that little guy is 4 mil, if you were wondering. Cotswold stone is the colour. This one here would be good in here to base. And you know, so I'm looking at this here, if that just doesn't seem like it's going to help the stitching of your flower, don't do it. You don't need to. You can simplify. You can simplify down the flower that you're stitching. You know, some of these flowers that are on these pieces, they are quite in depth in colour, tone and detail because, you know, the artist has sat there with pen, paint and pencils and had the luxury of just going for it. We can't achieve that to, you know, to great degree because we're using big chunky ribbons. So if you're thinking that your flower needs to be simplified or a section of your flower needs to be simplified, you're probably right. So I'm going to sneak up. Oh, come on. Come on. That's a girl. Oh, luscious, luscious. Come on. Oh, she's a beauty. What am I doing? I'm going through something else. Going through his tail. That's why. I try not to have to pull my pliers out. Sometimes you have to. But before I get to that degree, what am I pulling through? And maybe there's something I've done to stop it coming through easily. And it might be just change your needle to a needle that makes a bigger hole. Oh, I love how it changes colour. My wish list one day is to do a weekend retreat at Colour Stream. I just haven't had time to, or I haven't even looked at what they have on offer because I just know I don't have time at the moment. That'll be a 2025. So I'm going to stay on this same lineal line and have like a slight angle coming down into here. And I have a feeling I'm not going to worry about the colour in there because I think this petal will look like a big feathery petal anyway. Oh, look at this. Might have to get the pliers out. So far, so good. Oh, look at you. I love it. I don't think I've used a 13 mil ribbon before. Come on. Oh, imagine some beads laying up through there. Oh, maybe I will go dark in there. I sort of feel like I could. But it's not real dark. It's... Come on. My coffee's starting to make me hot. Down you go. Oh, come on. My fingers are getting hot and clammy. And I don't have pliers nearby. And I probably don't need them. It's just I'm suddenly getting a real hot feeling. Oh my goodness, I might jump up and find my little rubber nose pliers. All right, guys, I'll be back in a second. I just need to grab some appliances to help me. I'm back, and I've got my little pliers. And it's just one more stitch needed. Okay. Technically, that one should have been done first. Like, I'm really breaking the rules, but don't do what I do. Be here all day otherwise. Keep it gentle. Yep. See, I am going to do dark in there. Let's get this little guy stitched in under here. You don't want to grip too much onto your needle with your pliers, because you don't want to ruin the coating on a brand new needle and make it all rough. So just enough just to hold it. Okay, now I've got a hang of a knot here on this end. Get rid of all this, and we will do the dark. That guy there needs to be pulled through more. That's it. And that needs to sit over him. That's better. So the darkest I've got in the widest is this. I think we'll give it a go. Give it a go. Let's give it a go. It's not that green, but I think it'll be enough to see that that one petal is similar. So I'm really thinking that this petal will be stitched with thread. This will be ribbon, and that'll be stitched just to break it up. Otherwise it'll look like a mush of ribbon and you won't see anything different. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sneak down into here. And bring that guy up into there. You know what else would be nice through there is a piece of crocheting. Like bring in a lace to be the bottom petal. That would look really pretty too. All the options. You'll have to wait and see for next week's video what this all looks like. Maybe some tatting. And then with a little bit of chocolate outlining here and there. You can see how the shape of what I've stitched has completely changed the opportunity for chocolate. Like there was a tiny little bit of chocolate there. Maybe it'll come back in. I'm going to probably leave it at that, because I think that petal and this petal, I might just do one more little stitch. There is a bit of a corner there, a bit of a no man's land. Just tuck that into there. Maybe one more. That's definitely an opportunity there for chocolate. And if I wove that, using basket stitch or weaving, especially if I could find something that was quite chunky. I wonder, what would this look like woven? Probably wouldn't look real good because there's bumps and lumps everywhere. No. Stop thinking outside the box, girl. What have we got in here? Something like that might be good. I know we're probably scooting for time. But what I'm thinking is if I could weave this bit, pop in the chocolate, then come back through with some of this to finish off that bottom of the petal, is what I'm thinking. This is going to be a longer video than normal. Whoop. The interesting thing about weaving too is you can muck around with the direction of it. So if you want it to have a bit of a curvy feel, you can achieve that. So I might just do a couple stitches just to give you an idea of the direction of my weaving. The other thing is you can play with colour too. So I could pick maybe a darker, wheatier tone like that guy. And that's the stitch I weave. So you can see you'd get a completely different tonal effect. So just get some up and down stitches in place. What am I pulling on here? It's going to be don't cut that. I got a distinct urge not to cut it, that it might back out. So I'm just going to catch that while we're here. This is what I mean by if you have a thread, a ribbon end that's just hanging out and you're thinking, well, that could wriggle around and the petal or the stitch might get a little corrupted on the other side. Just do a couple little stitches. Put the pliers away. I keep picking them up thinking they're my scissors. And now I can trim it with confidence. And now I can put my big stitches in. And we're going to have a bit of an angle about it. So I'm going quite close together at the top and a bit more of a gap at the bottom. It'll help create a bit of movement in my weaving. I don't want it too grid-like. I want it to feel like there is a bit of movement in that petal. I'll definitely be able to get a chocolate edge in there because now I've got a bit of room. See, that's the thing too. You don't have to weave the whole petal. You could bead that there, Corinne. Yeah. I'm going to stop doing that thread and I'm just going to start the weaving. I can always pick up the weaving again. So we're going now under, over, and away we go. Gosh, you can have so much fun with thread painting. Like seriously, it's... And you can make it as tight or as gappy as you want to give your petals some interest. I'm gonna come back. So what did I do there? Over, unders, overs and unders. There we go. Where are you, little thread? Don't you disappear on me. Concentrating. Can you hear the cogs turning? Anchor it down. Oh, I love it. And see how I can see that little bit of, I don't know if you guys can, see how you can see the chocolate line and there's a little bit of that blue. That would be great to stitch in there like I did here, just little pops of that, or some French knots. Or so now I'm coming down the bottom. I'm making this weave a little bit looser than I would normally to keep it feeling chunky and not dense and tight. Just trying to keep it a little bit more sculptural, architectural. That's what I mean by dense and tight. This is going to be more loose and textural. Mix it up a little bit on our little flower here. I might jump and grab my beads, because I'm really thinking I'm going to do some beads as well on this outside petal. It's going to be interesting, I think. The others are all very ribbony. The other thing too is there's nothing stopping you doing something completely different here. Like you're getting into the Fleur Woods style then, where you just break all the rules and you keep stitching over and over and seeing what comes of it all. And then adding different fibres, and like, it's really fun. Takes the pressure off of you when you think, oh, well, it's got to look like a rose. Well, no, it doesn't. It's got to look like a flower, not just a blob. But I'm running out of thread. So I think you get the general gist of what that weaving will look like. I've just got enough to do one more pass, I think. Then I'm going to pick up my beads, which are just in the cupboard beside me. Oh yeah. Come on. Okay. Let's, before I disappear on you, have a look at the beads. One moment, guys. These ones come to mind. So these could come up through here. Like, picture that, full of beads. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Gives you a bit of an idea. Beautiful. I don't think I have beads in that greeny blue. I don't think so. At a glance. Maybe. No, I see they're that and that. It's just a little bit too, like I did bring a bit of that in up here. Maybe. No, it's very blue, isn't it? Maybe in that crease. Oh, yeah. Just a little bit. That then opens up the possibilities of maybe in that crease. There you go. Who would have thought? It's amazing, isn't it, when you start playing with colour? And that is my flower that's going to be in behind. So when I do all this beading, I need to creep the beading up. I might pin him. I need to creep that beading up onto this little guy. I might need to even bring a white petal through that one at the back, just to make it feel like this little fellow is behind that rose, because at the moment he looks like he's on top of it. So the beads would sneak onto him and that petal would sneak onto him. And then maybe I need to lift this ribbon here so that that appears a little more underneath. Yeah, so I might need to actually, let's try and, I could cut that flower, but I want it to feel quite bulbous. There we go. I don't need a stitch. Yeah. Yeah, I think once the beads, maybe I need 1, 2 more ribbons. Do I cut it? I don't want to. Because I want that thickness. No, don't cut it. I think we can drift all of the highlighting stitches. Oh, I've got a mess here, like usual. I'm going to stitch him into place now. See, once again, he's behind this rose. It does feel like he's pushing forward there. Maybe I do have to cut it, guys. Let's get a needle and thread ready. If I cut it, I would need to bring some more of the green up onto him as well, which I can do. I think we're going to cut it. It'll just thin out. I'll go past the fold a little bit that I have there. That way I know I've still got my desired shape and I'm about 3 mil bigger. Now we're going to slide, yeah, that's better. We're going to slide that in there and we're going to stitch it down, and worst case scenario I have to come back with each one of those. Oh, goodness me, need a knot. This would be way over the hour now, surely. Going to bring that right in there. And stitch that down. Maybe just stitching it down will bring it deeper. Oh, I love adding different textiles to pieces. Just makes it look interesting. It's like a jungle of flowers happening here. Yeah, that's going to work. I think I will need an extra petal. Oh, come on. I'm trying to rush, but there's no rush, is there? Let's get my angle right a little bit. Get as close as I can in there. Like so. Oh, that's not too bad. It actually is slid in. Just kinked it a little bit there to get this to lift. Just a little bit. So it's not so flat. Oh, come on. And then the beads can drift right up through. So that little flower was part of a table runner where they're all connected that I found at an op store. It's amazing what you can chop up and use elements of. Alrighty. I think we've got him in. And now my petal, this big bulbous layers of petals, can be finished. He's not going anywhere. So I can bring the beads up over him so he looks like he's behind. And then I'll assess the ribbon. I have a feeling I might need another little white one there and another one of these just to push him back a little bit. But I think it will work. And then as for the other side of the road, who knows? You'll have to wait and see what she did. See, even this little bit's left. That has an opportunity that could be, you know, poked in somewhere. You know, just that little bit. Nothing like a good morsel. Oh, I don't even mind it there. Just makes that flower look even more interesting. Oh, I like that. All right, that's it. Pin it in. Just had a feeling it was a useful little piece. Just giving that flower a little bit more depth. Look at that. Okay, all right, guys. I'm going to toddle off. This will be fun. I'll finish stitching that petal, and then while I'm stitching that side, I can have a think about what happens over here. Oh, I love it. Okay, catch you in the next video. Bye.